Hi everyone, so I've been here with my mate Adam Elemental and we've been working on a beat using his plugin called Internal Studio to get some really interesting scales going. We made something that sounds a little bit like lo-fi hip-hop boom bap, I would say, but I was thinking today what I wanted to show you is I wanted to show you how to add a little bit of like I call it the Bristol bass. I don't know if that makes any sense, but it's this kind of like really deep bass that kind of like it's reminiscent of dubstep, but it's also quite close to like modern drum and bass. And I was gonna use Operator to show you how you can get a really nice kind of like wide range of bass sounds just by playing around with the carriers and modulators in Operator. So let's get started, and yeah, we're just gonna add a bass onto this. So let's change the view. Wicked. So what we got is this. That's cool. As you can see, we're moving away from the major minor established scales, and we're actually doing something a little bit more
different.
Yeah, a little bit different, and it's freeing us to be even more creative. And this is a thing that I think Internal Studio which is amazing. And now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw a note.
Remember, we're on white keys only.
Yeah, so if I press play,
You hear that already?
I don't know if I want to go any lower. Ooh, that's nice, but
Yeah.
I think I'm going to go low. Maybe like let's see if that actually works with the tune. I'm just going to hold it and drag it. So it's going to be like literally like a one note wonder sort of bass, and maybe duplicate it. So we got like two parts to it. Let's press play. There we go. Alright, cool. So we got that set up. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start adding some movement to the sound. So first things first is in Operator, I'm going to go over here without going into too much detail. Operator is an FM synth, which stands for frequency modulation. And what we're doing is basically, the way I describe it is the opposite of a filter. So with a filter, we're taking something that's complex and we're taking energy away from the sound. In FM, we take something that's basic and we modulate it. We make it so vibrate. So then it kind of breaks apart and becomes more complex. We start adding harmonics to the sound.
Yeah.
So this algorithm I'm going to set up here, this is basically dictating the relationship between which one of these make the sound and which one of these vibrate to the one that we hear, right? Also known as carriers because they carry the sound, and modulators because they modulate the sound. So they add more harmonics to the sound. They make it more complex. They change the waveform of the sound, so to speak. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use this algorithm, which is the T algorithm. So basically all of these are affecting A. So we can add a lot of energy with those ones there. But for now, the thing that's really interesting is that each one of them has got their own envelope. So basically you can apply movement, or you can change the tempo of the sound in stages, if that makes sense. So if we just listen to the relationship between A and B, let's have a listen to the bass sound. Right, so at the moment what I'm doing...
added a harmonic, so it's not pure sine wave anymore.
No, exactly. So it just sounds a little bit more complex. And if we want to really hear it, we can just bring the sustain all the way up. That's the sound we add in. I'm going to change that to 2. So the harmonics that we add to the sound are going to be odd harmonics, which is odd harmonics are going to create something that sounds more like a square wave rather than a sawtooth.
Okay.
So this is the relationship between, it has to do with the harmonic series. So when we mess around with Operator and we change this, it doesn't work in octaves. It actually works in harmonics. So it goes from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and it follows the harmonic series, which is quite an interesting one.
Interesting.
But what we want to do here is we want to add some movement. So let's just bring that down. Okay, cool. Right, so we want less, we can just bring it down.
Not sure about the note.
We can change the note.
Sound right, yeah.
Let's change it. We got the whoa, because what I'm done is I actually taking this modulator and it's making the sound brighter gradually. and then it stays steady. So one thing that we can do as well is we can use an LFO, and the LFO can control multiple things. As you can see here on the routings, we can make the pitch vibrate, but that's not what we want, so I'm going to turn those off. But here we can actually select what the LFO is doing. And for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just control the volume of the carrier. So rather than being a stable sine wave, the sine wave is going to have movement in terms of volume created by the LFO, right? So let's just play around with that.
I see where you're going with this.
This is the Bristol. I mean, I just call it the Bristol wobble, but it's definitely. I think it, to me, whenever I go to any drum and bass parties in Bristol and hear like Bristol labels, this is the kind of sound I'm hearing, right?
Okay. Cool.
So I'm gonna bring the volume up a little bit. Make it a little bit louder. And in fact, I'm just gonna let's focus on the bass for a second. So I'm gonna turn off the pigments just for a split second, so we can actually hear just operator with the beat. Also, you can have reverb. Right? But then the fun begins when we start messing around with the sound and we add another modulator. Remember, these modulators are running in parallel, meaning that B, C, and D, they are not affecting each other. All they're doing is changing the timbre of A. So you can do crazy stuff, like you can do, for example, let's bring C.
Independent LFOs?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. So let's bring this one in. And let's make this much higher.
Give it a different. Can you assign that to a different LFO?
No, but you can have, obviously, the LFO here is just controlling the volume of A.
Right.
But with this, we can add different tonality through the duration of the notes. So you can go, for example, I can make it go. Let's have a listen to C on its own. Look, let's just turn B off. That's what we're doing with this off. So it's adding that kind of sound, right? We can make it obviously go higher. And then we can bring the number 2 as well, so it's adding different flavor as well. There you go, right? Here we've got this thing called tone. Basically, if the tonality of the sound is sounding too bright, because that's the thing, when you start modulating a sound, eventually it might sound a little bit too bright or abrasive. The tone is kind of like, almost sounds a bit like a filter, so it kind of takes some of the energy away from the modulation. You can make it like deeper.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's even, it's like a filter, but it's so
better.
yeah.
And then of course you can,
Nice.
what I tend to do
Modulate
sometimes
that as well.
is I record automation on the bass. And let's arm the automation. Let's record. Let's see if that works. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the settings from the last one, and this one is going to add a lot of high-end energy to the sound. Okay, and what I'm going to do is just literally, let's delete that automation, and let's just bring it in. Let's record that in. Right, so we're going somewhere now, aren't we? 2, 3, 4. So we got that recorded. You can play around with the chord settings. You can change the brightness that sound is adding. Here we go lower. Make it go lower.
I like that.
Yeah, it's cool. And then we can add crunch. So if we wanted to add a little bit of crunch to the sound, we can add a little bit of distortion. So maybe like a hard distortion type. You can see that is not activated because I didn't turn on the filter. I'm not going to use the filter because the thing with operator, you actually don't really need a filter. But I mean, it's there just in case you want to use it.
Sure.
But let's turn that off all the way. And here I'm gonna add a little bit of just a little bit of crunchiness, a little bit of distortion. So let's just add a little bit of soft distortion. Is
the distortion on the whole thing or just that? It's on the whole sound,
yeah? I don't like the hard flip, let's just go to the side. A little bit more subtle. There. A little bit less. It's a little bit.
Yeah, just subtle. Subtle's nice there.
And remember that if you want to make this slightly more kind of robotic or slightly kind of harsher or abrasive, we can go over here, and here we can actually add. At the moment, it's only just a sign that's been modulated by the modulators, but we can always add extra partials. We can add extra harmonics. So basically, we can add extra complexity. So you can hear it. It's just like a matter of just drawing it in. And this is the reason why I think Operator is absolutely ridiculous. Like, I still feel that I use Serum, I use Pigments. I still coming back. I don't know. I just keep coming back to Operator because it's endless.
Right. Cool.
And
let's hear how that sounds adding the partials.
Can be really precise. You see what I mean? So we have the extra harmonics there. And then obviously here as well, you can add feedback. So feedback sounds a bit like a sawtooth. You can apply. Nice, right? And then you can adjust it if it's too bright. Yeah, and let's hear it with everything else.
Right, I want to add another note into the bass line. Where's the... Oh, it's here, right?
Yeah. So basically, I created a clip just to add the automation.
Got it, yeah.
Let's go. One last thing as well. What we can also do, and that's another thing that's really interesting, is this LFO doesn't have to be static. At the moment, it's just like set to a speed of 4.59 hertz.
That could give us some variation as things go around the loop, yeah?
But the pitch envelope, as you can see here, the pitch envelope can control the LFO rate. So you can make the LFO kind of like sound really fast and really slow. You can do.
Oh, right.
Let's just make it really obvious.
Can you make it even more subtle?
Yeah, you can just kind of play around with the amount.
Oh, right, yeah.
It's almost having like swing. Because the rate is just deviating ever so slightly. Let's go. So at this point would be like a fast rate, and then the rate of the LFO will slow down. So you can draw it in, and so that's one thing I wanted to just share with you guys.
That's deep. You know what? I've never really got into Operator, and I've generally found FM synthesis quite hard to get my head around. I mean, there's been times I can do like the simple, like, you know, with my modular synth of, you know, the simple, like, you know, FMing one oscillator to another.
Yeah.
I can get my head around that. But once you've got, you know, digital FM with multiple operators and different configurations, it's a bit of a head spinner.
Yeah, I think like 4 operators is enough. But I mean, obviously you can use like the X7 and all that stuff, and then that's 8 operators to play around with. But but you can see that there's like a really massive scope of sounds that you can get there.
Definitely.
And just it does add that. I don't know. I keep hearing these kind of sounds in a lot of like drum bass from like labels like sofa sounds, for example, like molecular and stuff. So there's this kind of like growly, slightly dubsteppy but growly low end bass.
Yes.
And I think I don't know if originally they made it with FM, but I think FM is the way to go for those kind of sounds.
Sure. Well, that's great. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Hope that's been informative and interesting.
Yeah, we certainly had loads of fun doing the videos. So hope you guys enjoy it when you get to watch it. So amazing. Well, thanks for watching, everyone. Remember, if you like the video, leave a comment, and if you want to subscribe, amazing. And on to the next one, and enjoy. Cheers, guys.
Bye.
Bye.